Hi, what's going on, guys? Today I'd like to show you some of my favorite jailbreak tweaks on my iPod Touch. So this is running iOS 6.1.3, obviously tethered jailbroken, but since this is my iPod, I don't really bother about that. But I've got here some tweaks I'd like to show you, and that are not that usual, I would say. Let's get started. I've got here in my lock screen, you can already guess it. This is called Androidlock XT, and what it does is, well, it does the same like on Android. It prevents your iPod from being unlocked if you do it wrong, obviously. So I just enter my correct one, and it unlocks, as you can see. So this is just a simple tweak, but I think it's a lot more fun than the code thing from iOS, and I think Android is a little cooler when it comes to that. But I never use the code anyway, so it doesn't really bother me. And it's nice to have. The next tweak I'd like to show you is this. No, not my springboard. It's the theme. It's an iOS 7 theme. I think it looks pretty decent. It's free, actually, which does surprise me. It's just called iOS 7 theme. I'll just go into Winterboard to show you that. There we go. So as you can see, you get all this stuff for iOS 7. So it makes iOS 6 a little bit, it takes it a little bit into the iOS 7 style. Not completely, obviously, but you can, guess, especially in the springboard that is iOS 7. So, yeah, of course, the folders don't work that way because it's still iOS 6, obviously. I say obviously quite a lot. I should stop that. But as you can see, I think it looks pretty neat, and it's a pretty nice theme for being completely free. So the next thing is a pretty simple tweak. You could have guessed it already. It's FiveIconDock, which does what it says. It just gives you another space for an icon. I've used that a long time. It's pretty useful, I would say. I just got all the important stuff there, plus the jailbreak folder. So I think that is such a neat feature to have. It's just simple, but it's still pretty damn good, I would say. It's pretty old tweak as well. The next tweak is also pretty simple and basic. We could have guessed it as well. On the top left corner it says iPod Touch, but usually it just says iPod. Well, this is called, hold on a second, FakeCarrier. So obviously whoops, not in here. There it is. Obviously the iPod doesn't have a carrier, so it just says iPod, and you can set it to whatever you want. For example, iPod 4G, if that makes any sense. And you click set, you don't have to respring. And it's again a pretty simple feature, but I think it's still, again, these little things, I like these. So the next thing I'd like to show you is a little bit more interesting and fancy. It's called Auxo, and what it does, it's reimagine, as they describe it, app switcher for iOS 5 and 6. And what it does, it brings up the bar on the bottom like this. And as you can see, it shows you some thumbnails, what it's currently, what you're currently doing, what you're in. So it's a lot, I think, cooler looking than the boring iOS icons that just, being the icons to show this little screenshot. Obviously you can't exactly see what you're doing, but if you, for example, forgot what you're in Cydia, I can kind of recognize that I'm here in my packages. So I think it looks just so awesome. But another nice feature is that you don't have to hold it to execute when you just swipe down like this, and it does this, it's pretty awesome. So obviously I do like the iOS 7 app switcher, or multitasking. It's not really app switcher anymore. A lot more because it's kind of full screen stuff. But I think this is pretty sweet as well, and it's just such cooler looking. And you can do some more preferences in here too. I don't really do that a lot, but you can, as you can see, changing the brightness and doing some other stuff like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. I don't really use that, but it's still a nice feature to have. It shows you a little icon of the song you're playing here. And all in all, I think it's a lot better app switcher than the boring iOS 6 one. It takes up a little bit more space, but that doesn't really bother me that much. And on an iPhone 5, it looks pretty sweet as well. So if you guess it's just bigger screen, it's gonna be the same size. You gotta have a little bit more screen state or however you call it. Some people say that this is not the perfect tweak for a 3.5-inch screen. I don't really care about that. That could be your opinion, but it's not really a problem for me. So the next thing is called Voiceactivator, and for that I have to go into preferences. And what it does is Voiceactivator, it is doing, like the Activator, things for you, but that's just with a voice. So if you ever, this, I can't really show you that because it's German, but what it does is you have to bring up here this voice control that Apple offers on the older devices, and I'll just disable it for now here. And you can say something, and you can program what you want to say. So I'll just do one for demonstration. I will not demonstrate it because again it is German. But if I want to say weather, and I can do whether speak text, it's gonna tell me something there. Open an URL or do Activator. That's what I'm gonna do. Configure. And I can scroll down. Look at all this stuff. You can do all this. I think that's just so awesome. You can do so much with this thing. You can like program your ultimate iPod or iPhone with this thing. I'm not kidding. This is really a damn good invention. And as you can see, there is weather. So if I would say weather, it will start the weather app. And you can also do gestures. I'll show you that as well. So I'm just gonna delete that. If I do here, which is a speak text, when I, for example, whatever, shake the device or lock the device, I already said that, but I'll just do it for now. And I can enter then what it's gonna say when I lock the device or when I unlock the device. So I hope you get it, but I think it's pretty damn neat. I don't really use it on my daily iPhone, but still here playing around with it. It's not really a serial replace. You can actually make it a serial replace, but that's gonna afford a lot of work. And it's not gonna be that good looking because it's still the voice control. I'm talking too long already about this, but still you can do a lot of great stuff with it. So the next thing I'll show you is NC Settings, which is a settings app for, well, the notification center. So you just scroll down in notification center, and there you see here are some controls. So these really look like they were built in from Apple. They just fit so awesome. You can do the screen brightness, you can respring it, you can change the volume, you can do disable and enable your Wi-Fi. If you swipe down here, you can do some more preferences, as you can see, and I think it just such more belongs there, like the SB settings, which I used a long time, where you swipe like this on a status bar, and it will bring me up a similar menu. But this is just such more handy, and at the same time I can look at the other notifications as well. Obviously it's gonna effort me one swipe more, but that doesn't really bother me that much. So I use that on my daily iPhone as well. It's a pretty simple but still pretty damn good tweak. So the next thing is, you can guess it on the top right corner. It's called LifeBattery Indicator. And what this does, it's just another one of these design couple of things. It doesn't add functionality. I can't really show you the other one because if I unplug it, it's gonna lose the connection. So what it does, or for example, my iPod has got now a little bit more than half a charge, so you can indicate that on the little circle up there. Oh gosh. Or at least another tweak I want to show you. So it's just, again, another simple tweak. I think it's just a little bit for playing around, but it's looking pretty good. So the next thing I'd like to show you is called Password Pilot. So it's, again, a really simple but such a useful tweak, I tell you that. So what do, you go in Password Pilot and enter your iTunes password. So what it does, when you download an application, you don't have to always enter your password. And that is helping me so much when I'm like in my school or in a coffee shop and I want to enter my password. I don't have to look around if anyone's looking at my keys and I've typed my password. Now I just click OK and it's already in. So I obviously know that this is not very safe. And if you got, you can anyone can access your credit card and download a billion apps with this. But anyway, I got Android lock, so not anyone is gonna get into this thing. And this is just so damn handy. It's a pretty simple tweak again, but it's very handy, and I do really love it. So another tweak I like to show you always blows the mind out of me. So this is called Unlock iOS 6 Maps. This was very buggy in the first versions of iOS 6, like 6.0 and 6.0.0. 6.0.1 and 6.1, I believe not anymore, but the early versions, this bug like shit, it caused me to crash. But what it does, it shows me the 3D animations on my A4 devices. So this also works on the iPhone 3GS. And this transmission is very sluggish and choppy, but in real life, it's very smooth. I don't see a reason why they disabled that for the iPhone 4 and iPod Touch 4G. Just that you buy another iPhone. But this is just so awesome. That's, for example, London here. I'll just search for another nice 3D. I'll just go to Las Vegas. Alright, that's also cool. So obviously this thing is slow now that it has to do the transmission to the monitor, so this is usually going a lot faster. And it's welcoming that my internet is downloading something, so it's twice as slow. I'll just pause the video here. Alright, there we go. I can show you now 3D. You can see all the nice buildings in there. And you can also, if anyone uses that, to be honest, let the voice of it say where you should go. If you take a route to whatever you want to go, it's going to show you it's going to tell you what you have to do and not just show it. So it unlocks pretty much that you can use the whole functionality. And I think it's a pretty damn good tweak for being, again, free, and it's making a lot of use. I'm making a lot of use out of it, and it kind of puts some support back. So you can see actually here, maintenance is slow, I know, but as you can see, it totally works. The Cosmopolitan, or what is it? Cosmopolitan, or whatever it is. You can see it's 3D, so as you can see, pretty simple tweak, unlocks this 3D stuff and the turn-by-turn directions, and that's really all it does. So the last tweak I'd like to show you is, I don't know if you could call it useful, useful, if you could call it anyone would like it, but it's pretty useful at some places, things you have to do quickly. It's not the most handy way, and I come across the tweak a little bit by accident, that you already saw it, if you know what it was. So what you do, you take an icon and you swipe down on it, like on the App Store. But it shows me that there are no new messages. So this just works on certain apps, and that tweak is called Velox. So for example, I swipe down on my camera, and it loads up the camera on the damn springboard. So you can see my iPod on here on the monitor. So again, you can do also the photos. You can do your last photo. You can share it. Calendar. There are no calendar events. It's kind of show you the calendar events. You can compose a new message when you swipe down. You can look what you're playing. You can even launch a web browser. I wouldn't say that this is the most useful thing you do. But again, if you like to check something very quickly, this is pretty useful. I don't know about Dropbox. No, it doesn't work. So it also shows you the email, and you get the idea. You just swipe down, and that's what it does. If it has got some functionality like in the notes, or I don't know if it does in the maps. Oh well, there we go. You can even load up the maps. So for little things, when you need something very quickly, you can use that. I don't use that on my daily driver, but I'd like to try it out here, and it's still pretty damn impressive. So there are a lot of tweaks now that I also like, but I don't have installed, like Siri port, which ports the Siri to unsupported devices. Doesn't matter which firmware they are, by the way. So these were my favorite jailbreak tweaks. I hope you liked them, and I'll see you in the next video, guys.